You know that moment when you're on the fucking Twitters and you're already a fucking idiot for being on Twitter in the first place. Like you're doing it to you're asking for trouble, you know. But you know that moment when you see like some bitch ass fucking take, you know, some ridiculous ass take, and it's just misery. Like misery floods your body. Like, oh my god, how can someone possibly be so stupid as to have that take? How is this even happening? But you know, it's like you're seeing a take relative to probably your own personal audience, right? Usually when you're scrolling through the Twitters, you're going to see a take by, you know, people you like and agree with, generally speaking, are going to be looking at something being, hey, check out this shit take. And so at least you have, like, the buffer window being like, well, this is, like, painfully idiotic, but at least, you know, like, we're all in camaraderie. And it's not healthy, you know, it's not, like, a good thing to do online, but it doesn't feel as miserable as seeing a shit take that, like, slips the radar, like, accidentally stumbling across a shit take that for some reason has not been outed as the shit take that it is. And so I'm going to talk about this today. Here, let's make sure we can hear. So this is what, 128.1k views and climbing. This is a 32-second clip that has been taken from this 52-minute and 23-second video. So 32 seconds of this will definitely capture the crux of the video, I'm certain. This is going to be a very accurate portrayal of this video. And someone taking this, like, I guess maybe like a single sentence or whatever. I've listened to this clip. I don't even understand what they think that they're referring to.
Most Sonic fans, most people who know who Sonic is, are not kids. It's the classic mistake of the out-of-touch studio executive to make a product using an IP, not for the actual audience of the IP, but for the audience they think it should have. You know, it's like the Pokemon thing. You can't say it's like this because it's for kids when we have seen raw data. The majority of Pokemon fans, most Sonic fans.
All right, so not only is this out of context in that it's a 32-second clip from a 52-minute video, this is out of context. So one, I recall the exact argument he was making at this particular time was he was saying that he was trying to, you know, people that actually use their brains and, like, engage in logic on the internet, which are not people like this fucking dipshit, but, yeah, people who actually use their brains online, they'll sometimes do this thing called devil's advocating, or, you know, they'll present a scenario and then they'll create multiple potential arguments. So they'll say, okay, in this circumstance, this would be my argument, and then in this other circumstance, this would be my argument, you know? So if there's any confusion or diversity onto the potential counter-argument that might occur, they have plenty of other arguments lined up and ready to go. So that's what you do if you have, like, half a fucking brain and you're making an argument, right? Whereas people like this thrive on just taking a single sentence or something and then portraying it as, like, the entire crux of an argument. So this is already out of context in terms of it is literally just an either-or argument being made, where Arlo was talking about... What was he exactly talking about? This
fans,
instant?
Most people who know who's...
Right. So he was saying that he didn't understand... Like, this was just a weird tangent. It wasn't honestly really connected to his thoughts. So this is just, like, something that he started talking about, and it wasn't necessarily connected to his criticisms of the film, but he was saying that he found the film's appeal structure very odd because he thought that based on a lot of its structure, it seemed like the tone of the film and the style of humor and everything was geared towards an extremely young child audience. That it was a movie built for a child audience, which he personally, I guess from his own lived experience, found strange because he figured that the primary audience for a Sonic film would actually be the Pokemon demographic, like the older, like 20-somethings or whatever. So he found it weird that they would take a Sonic IP but then fill it with all these, like, kid jokes and things that 20-somethings will not find particularly funny, or humor that will not land, or just a lot of aspects that are clearly made for child movies. So that was what he was talking about. He was saying, okay, it can either be a Sonic movie intended for like 20-somethings or whatever, but I find it weird that they would put all these things that probably don't appeal to most 20-somethings, or it would be a movie for kids, but I don't understand why they would do that with Sonic. That's the either or that he was positing at this instant. Which is why I don't even know what this is referring to. How can you not understand the appeal of Sonic? I don't think he ever mentions anything about the appeal of Sonic, so I don't even know what this is talking about. I think this guy's just living a fucking delusional state where he just, I don't know. I mean, because this is like the like peak internet, right? This is peak Twitter, like taking some out of context thing, not providing a link to the actual video, obviously, because you don't want to actually fucking use your brain. And yeah, just like portraying everything, like people are automatically going to, like, as much as like we as people know, we've been trained to know that the internet is bullshit, right? Everyone knows the internet is bullshit. Everyone on some level consciously understands that everything they see on the internet is bullshit, that anything that they see, some headline, is going to be some misleading garbage or anything. They know that, and yet it's still psychologically effective to do it, Clickbait headlines still work, even though you know consciously that you shouldn't pay attention to them. It's just psychological manipulation, which is the same case in this, This person just wanted to farm a bunch of engagement, I guess, a lazy piece of shit who just wanted to farm a bunch of, likes and views and anything for their worthless fucking shit take. And, yeah, so they just decided to post an out-of-context clip with no link to the actual information to portray it just with this small image of, look at this shit take I found. This is what this whole guy's about. See, this guy, and you can see people, making these kinds of, leaps in logic or anything. I should give you some background. Arlo is a pretty cool guy. One of the few, video essay people that, I like listening to, not because he rarely will ever talk about anything that I actually give a shit about. He's very much on Nintendo properties and not even the ones that I'm even particularly interested in. So he doesn't really talk about anything I am in the scene of, but he's just a super nice guy, super level-headed. I like the way he structures his arguments. He's got a pretty good sense of humor, and yeah, he's got a good personality. He's a great guy. And he makes some interesting arguments. And, yeah, he's fucking, one of the most ridiculously pleasant and kind video essayists that you will find. And this video's entire structure, I believe... What did I tweet out after this fucking garbage? So, yeah, this is what I tweeted out for retweeting this trash. One of the rare moments where I've always seen this... the video in question that he took it from is an extremely reasonable and level-headed critique that is entirely respectful to every other opinion on the subject, unlike this douchebag tweeting this crap. This is a perfect example of anti-discourse online. Most people get misled. Most of the people being misled by this are just innocent victims of this misinformation and just, making up a character in their heads based on this small little snippet that they're given by this asshole who probably watched the whole video and then just decided to mislead people, or was so fucking harebrained stupid that they actually, only consume media and arguments one sentence at a time. And then, they listen to this sentence and they forget the entire rest of the video and everything before that point. So he completely, I guess... Which is how most people who make these kinds of, they'll, quote something or take a snippet like this from an argument, and then they'll, just that. They'll just post, that single quote, as if it wasn't part of an entire fucking argument that had everything before and after and context and was written for a particular audience that was going to consume it in a particular way. That's another thing, is that when you take something out of its intended audience, the way you write for, I don't know, that you would write something intended to be read by your parents is going to be different than something intended to be read by your close friends. That doesn't mean that either one of them is necessarily untrue or misleading. It just means that you write based on how you know that the audience that you're writing for is going to consume it, based on what information you assume that they're already going to be, what assumptions they're going to make. So when you take something out of its target audience, you already have to give it a greater lenience, a greater benefit of the doubt, because there's going to be some things that like are the writing is going to assume about the audience and their current mentality that might not be true for you once it's taken out of that context. So yeah, this is garbage. This guy's a fucking asshole. But yeah, I just find it incredibly ironic that like everyone's like dogpiling on this guy. I saw a bunch of guys being like, "Oh, imagine like what a prick! Oh, like gatekeeping a Sonic movie." He's like, "Oh man," and I'm so baffled at this. You know, like they're getting mad and dogpiling on a guy that is extremely respectful to everyone else having different opinions. Like the crux of the video is, hey, if you like this video, if you like this movie, it's cool. I'm glad that a lot of people are getting into it, and it's good that a video game adaptation movie was pretty successful for it's pretty rare that happens. I wanted to like it, but I didn't. I just felt like it was pandering. It just seemed mostly like a generic mediocre movie, and it explains like some of the scenes and a lot of the structure. And he's like, yeah, it just felt like a regular mediocre movie. I didn't see anything. Maybe I missed something. Maybe it's totally possible that other people are seeing something that I didn't. I struggle to empathize with a lot hype around it, but other people have different opinions, and that's just how it is. And he's like, I didn't really see much of a difference between this and a lot of other like pandering films that are not particularly good and are just kind of low quality and low effort. And I haven't seen this movie, honestly. I have no idea where I would fall in this bracket, but this is like fucking wild to me. This is so obnoxious because, like I said, most of the time when you see a ridiculously shit take like this fucking mischaracterizing tweet of people like trying to dogpile and mischaracterize a guy who is insanely nice, insanely level-headed, insanely respectful of everyone else and anyone else's opinions, just literally saying, hey, I didn't really enjoy this movie, and here's what I felt while watching it. And that's like the whole video. and it's like the perfect example of how you literally are not allowed to have discourse on the internet. You can't actually have like a conversation about anything, because no matter how respectful and how reasonable you are, you get these jackass fucking dipshits like this that will like steal some one sentence and then mischaracterize it and then like place it in some instant and then try to create some fucking just to fucking farm some fucking engagement on Twitter. Fucking ridiculous.